Hi,
Hi,
everybody. We are
everyone.
here today with Maureen Langlos and Wendy Olson from Split Lip, and we're zooming into the book fair at AWP. Hey, Maureen. Hey, Wendy. How are you?
Hello, how are you? It's so good to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah,
Sorry that it's a little bit crazy here.
Zoom blocks out all the background noise, so we won't get the
Oh,
crazy
good.
really, so don't worry about that. We
Okay,
won't keep
good.
you long because I know you have lots to do. We wanted to congratulate you on your 10th anniversary of Split Lip.
Oh, thank you.
10 years of loving Split
Yeah.
Lip. So congratulations on that. So tell us, what have you been doing at the AWP conference?
Well, we basically, first of all, for people who don't know us, Split Lip is an online mag. We publish 5 pieces every month, an artwork, a flash fiction, a poetry, a memoir, and we also publish some longer fiction and interviews and reviews. And we try to come to AWP as often as we can because we also sometimes publish print issues. So it's fun to get to try to sell them at the book fair. And we also did a set of really fun postcards for our 10th anniversary that I think hopefully some of you have seen. But the most important and fun thing about the book fair is we get to meet people who submit to us. We get to meet contributors. We get to meet readers who read for us, but that we don't see during the rest of the year. So it's really special. I'm going to show you like our table because we tried to make it really fun and colorful. So I don't know if you're seeing that, but
Pretty.
that's our table. And this is the bigger book fair. So where you can see tons and tons of people, our neighbors, and it's just a giant party. So if you haven't come to AWP before, I hope you get a chance.
Yes, yes.
What kind of panels have you been to so far?
Well, yesterday I went to a panel on how to publicize yourself, which was, I was a little worried it was going to be really too nuts and bolts. And instead it was all about building community and promoting yourself with integrity and love. And it was actually a really nourishing panel, which I was surprised. Some great writers were on it. Angie Cruz and trying to think. Of course, I'm blanking now on who else was there. Lisa Luca. But anyway, it was great. What about you, Wendy? Where have you been?
Well, yesterday I went to a panel that had Melissa Febos and Lydia Conklin, and they both did readings. It was really wonderful. It was a great, it was a queer focused panel, but it was just lots of great energy there.
Cool.
So it's been really great. I've spent some time catching up with old friends, which is one of the best things to do at AWP.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid I haven't been to as many panels as I would like, but yeah.
I'm
It's
on my,
true.
like my,
The first time I came to AWP, I went to literally a panel every session. I was like
Yeah.
at 5 panels a day. And then now we're at the book fair so much, we don't have as much time to go to the panels, which I feel a little disappointed by. But there's some great readings. I went to an electric lit offsite last night, and tonight Hex and Wiggly for having a great reading. And actually Wendy is reading in it. And so is another one of our staff, Janelle.
That's
Who's not here right now, but she's reading at an offsite tonight. So it's fun. I hope all of you online get to come sometime.
Yes.
the offsite events are what we go to AWP for. I guess we have to say that. Of course, when we're not chained to the table in the book fair.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We try not to be chained, but by the end of the day, it's a little hard to have energy for it. Yesterday, actually last night, Barrel House and Split Lip Press hosted a dance party.
I heard about that.
And there was no reading; it was just dancing. And unfortunately, I did not get there, but I've heard it was really a lot of fun. So I think that was a good idea. Not everything has to be a reading.
Did you get to go to the electric lit martini lunch?
No, I didn't even know that was a thing. Did you
That
go?
sounds amazing. No, I didn't even know
How
about
did I
that.
miss that?
Yeah.
Oh no, see, Helen and I went last year and it was martini lunch. And I didn't know what a martini lunch was. And actually, a martini lunch is that you just drink a bunch of martinis for lunch.
Oh,
That
the
sounds
best
very
lunch.
electric lit. I should have been there. And maybe
I
we
was
should do that for
deep drunk. This is
next
German
time.
for drunk. Yeah, this is German for drunk. Yeah, I was drunk. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
All right.
thank you so
Well,
much
thank-
for zooming
Thank
in.
you so much.
All right.
All
It
right.
was wonderful talking to you, Maureen. And
All right. Thank you
and
so
I'll
much.
let you get
Bye,
back to it.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So we now are going to have our open mic starting with okay, so we'll do a couple of open mic people, and I think we'll have Mike Chesnevsky zooming in from his table at Moon City Press. I wonder if Mike is already here. Sometimes Mike's already here, but we'll see. We'll see if he's coming in. And Matt Lehman Wines, are you at? No, you look like. Where are you right now, Matt?
I am currently in my hotel. Couldn't quite
okay.
find the strong Wi-Fi signal at the convention center, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're doing it from your hotel, but you're at AWP. So we'll be talking to you about your experience. And if anybody else has been at the conference, we'll want to talk to you about your experience of AWP as well. But we are going to start our reading with Dave Nash. Dave Nash reminisces on the towering snowbanks of his youth while he sips his tea in New Jersey. Dave is the nonfiction editor at 5 South Magazine. His work appears in places like South Florida Poetry Journal, Bulb Culture Collective, and the Hulu Review. You can find him at Dave Nash Lit 1 on that site formerly known as Twitter. Hi, Dave. How are you today?
Hi, Christopher. I'm doing well.
Good. What would you like to read for us?
I'm going to read a flash I wrote actually in the summer smoke long, and it was published last month. So I think it's also timely for this time of year.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Okay, thanks. So this is called the Road Home Escape Routes. Do you remember that night before the show, we watched the North Country crowd discarding hats and gloves, jackets. They were telling stories from the mountain, from the ice fishing shack. They nursed old fashions as they found their tables by the roaring fire. You smiled, and I reached over for your kiss. Outside howled ravenously. The music slipped on like a worn cardigan, the woman intoned vocals from a place we longed for without having been. She called to the man on the guitar. He responded by changing rhythms before offering his own voice, lower, less trained. Her voice rose and pitched with the new confidence and complexity. Together they sang of elusive characters, fractured loves, situations in dime stores and bus stations. She plucked the notes high off the mountain. He struck new chords. She'd been with him through it all. Between their sets, I said, just give me tonight. Before you could answer, they came back on stage with the beautiful couple. She took us back up the mountain, ranging in octaves, mastering songs written decades ago. But it was stripped down now, evocative. Together with us, they transferred the everydayness of the room. Then we were home, humming to the music, melodic, driving down snowbanked roads over black ice, building emotions back. The song they came back on the radio. Their performance was already a memory. You said tomorrow's never what you'd think it would be. We crossed the bridge into town before midnight, saw that the lights in your house were out. We snuck in through your basement, our wet boots squawking on the linoleum floor. You led me round the pitted beam. I called to you in a simple tenor. You responded in a higher octave, taking me up. We stripped down, evoked matchsticks to candles. Now it's February in Florida, and I'm alone on the lanai with my lemonade, surrounded by balmy palms. That song came on, so I wrote you this card. I wanted to say, I'll remember you. Well, that's the most thoughtful way anyone has tried to reach me. I guess postcards don't have that immediacy, that chance of a cutting reply in the dark of the night when you're trying to get back to sleep, but you figure one look won't hurt, then you're down the wormhole until you look out and see the sky mixed gray and red. Why did you leave when I touched you in the morning? You told me this time it would be better. Things would be different. I could lie in your arms, but you couldn't cry in mine. Now you write so lyrically about a shared experience, a night when you forgot about the trouble that followed you around our snowbank town. Your card tells me you found escape for now, but I knew you'd go there before you did. You just never want what you say you want. So I guess you want me to follow or to wait for me to follow. There was that night when I followed you through that busy barroom with that Norse country music controlling by the fire. I followed the couple's performance closely, making notes in my mind, filling my heart with her soul, feeling his need in my bones. How I wish you'd take me back after that. There was that time where I'd wait for you in my basement all night if you made me desperate. I'd wait for your mood to change, wait for you to indicate that it wasn't whatever it was you moved past. I could use some of your dissonance now. Everything's all come back too clearly. I got your card the first week of March when the snowbanks reached past the stop sign. But this March began a thaw, and I knew the snow would return heavily without ceasing for a week, but I opened my basement door anyway. The air rushed in, balmy, as if your card carried the weather with its palms. I swept the dust, the rust, the threads, all of it swept back out to where the red lines from the setting sun broke through the gray sky like a crack in the vessel that allows the holder to see the inner light shine through. I wanted to mark the occasion, memorialize my goodbye with this reply.
Thank you, Dave. Excellent. Our next reader is Dawn Miller. Dawn, you don't have to wait too long. Dawn Miller's work appears or is forthcoming in The Forge, Smoke Long Quarterly, Fractured Lit, Vestal Review, Atticus Review, Milk Candy Review, and elsewhere. She lives and writes on the shores of Lake Ontario, surrounded by deer, bald eagles, and the occasional lynx. Hi, Dawn. How are you today?
Hi. Thanks. I'm glad I'm a little bit on the earlier side, just because you know me.
I love it when that happens to me. I know we talked about it last time. What would you like to read for us today?
This is it's one I've been working on. It's called Things with Teeth. He finally accepts my phone call and says I can visit. I fill a bag with new toothbrushes, deodorant, razors, and socks, like I'm stuffing a Christmas stocking, and drive the 3 hours north. The building looms flat and gray, and it feels like my own heart. His father refused to come, and I wonder if, even though he's the one who wears glasses, his vision is clearer. Inside the monochrome institution, the items are confiscated, and I imagine them distributed like gifts among the staff. Guards usher me through metal door after metal door. The steel bars gnash closed behind me as I travel deeper and deeper into the bowels of the prison. In empty hallways, I wait on hard plastic chairs, the novel I pretend to read scored by a laminated bookmark made so many years ago. The sunny mother and father with the gap-toothed child. I think of his dimpled hands, soft as butter, clasping crayons, periwinkle, bittersweet, razzle-dazzle rose. His pink tongue clamped between milk teeth. The whirl at the crown of his auburn hair that I'd slicked down with the dampened face cloth before he boarded the bus to school. In the next room, I almost walked past him at a bolted down table on a bolted down chair. His mess of curls gone, his neck and bare skull lanced with tattoos, but that freckle near his eye still pinpricks his skin. I remember counting the freckles on his smooth cheeks and on the bridge of his nose, like hunting for stars in the sky. Dad didn't come, he says, hooded eyes like steel. And for a second, I see that teenage boy, his anger a pulled grenade, his white knuckles like spires. I remember his curled lips, his fist bloodied with my blood that night 5 years ago when he left for good. I'm glad to see you, I say, and reach for his arm. But he shifts, adding even more miles between us. I brought you some things, I say, but they took them away. He snorts, and I remember then he always found me ridiculous. Did you leave money for cigarettes, he asked, not meeting my gaze. His fingernails are jagged like a serrated bread knife, the kind he held against my neck, and a dark hole flashes where a front tooth used to be. Something hollows me, scoops me out like the pumpkins we carved when he was 6, 8, 10, and I focus on that one small freckle below his eye, search for that little boy. Come out wherever you are, because I miss the boy who drew rainbows and feared darkness and things with sharp teeth. but he was always good at hiding, or maybe it's me who's been hiding. And then a bell rings, signaling the end of visiting hours, and I see myself from above, a middle-aged woman with graying hair and slumped shoulders. See how the son doesn't look back before he disappears through a metal door. See how the mother reverses through the grayscale building like she's unspooling time. See how she casts herself into the day's cooling air and drives south, the highway a black ribbon, the sky bright, clear, baby blue.
Oh, wow. Never muted myself. Devastating. Thank you. Thank you, Dawn. Very nice. Excellent. Memorable. And we have time for one more before I hope Mike Chivnevsky will be zooming in. Let us see. I'm actually going to hit the correct button this time. Lori Fontanes comes from a family of strong women in Puerto Rico and Pennsylvania. Her multi-genre work has appeared in such venues as the Willow Herb Review, the anthology Flash Nonfiction Food, the Sundance Festival, and humor column of Backyard Poultry magazine. She lives in New York, but plans to move to France later this year. Where are you moving in France, Lori?
Very central. I'll be in Paris.
Oh, well, that.
So a train ride away, Christopher.
Yeah.
I'll be traveling.
Yeah, certainly. I'd love me a weekend in Paris.
There you go.
What are you going to read for us today?
So my fellow cardio folks know I've been writing some pretty heavy stuff, and so I wanted to go in a different direction today. So this was in the that food anthology that we just talked about, and it's called Something Fishy. A few years ago, I learned something about the man I married, although we're no longer married, and I didn't know what I'd learned until much later. Sometimes you have to work hard for knowledge. Sometimes it hits you like hour 14 on the keto diet. I'd spent that afternoon working on the miniature farm in the backyard. We'd rested from squirrels and lawn product salesmen. Deciding to grow anything other than arborvitae or hydrangea had made our home a neighborhood curiosity. We lived in the kind of New York town that boasts slim women in white jeans, summer, or pricey Canadian puffy coats, winter. Many residents never set foot in their gardens. I lived in mine. Through trial and much error, I'd learned how to raise 40 different kinds of food, from tiny herbs to towering corn, and some of it the groundhogs even let us eat. On that August day, the farm had kept me busier than usual. By the time I'd finished collecting tomatoes, chasing rodents, checking on seedlings, and plucking weeds, I realized it must be close to dinner. I had not actually made any dinner. A quick glance confirmed it was a half an hour before my husband should be home. That's one thing about living in suburban New York. There are trains and schedules, and people can plan a specific time to eat. Best laid plans. In the same moment, I also realized how hungry I was and decided that even though I was supposed to be all about food growing and home cooking, I was too tired to cook after spending the day growing. Since my husband had seemed extra preoccupied of late, I decided to splurge on sushi from our favorite place. That way we could have a nice meal together and maybe even talk. He burst in from the garage, already on his iPhone, and didn't look up as he dropped his briefcase on the floor. I knew better than to bother him in the middle of a high-stakes email, so I waited until he was finished poking at the screen to tell him that I'd ordered sushi. As I opened the door to return to the garden, I mentioned that I'd get our food as soon as I finished one last chore. Then I went to the restaurant. The cashier gave me a blank look when I asked for the order of sushi. She said there was no order of sushi. A rapid-fire discussion in Japanese between the cashier and the manager ensued. Did someone waltz off with my tuna Naruto and crunchy salmon roll? That stuff is expensive. The staff apologized and assured me that they would make a new order. By this point, I was famished and would rather have gone home and reheated leftovers, but they were so apologetic I couldn't say no. To take my mind off my stomach, I ran an errand. I returned to discover the staff was still upset. Sushi-grade fish is expensive, and they told me they thought a tall blonde woman might have taken our food. At that point, I remembered my car was in short-term parking, so I moved in and came back, and they were still talking about the missing order. Did the woman, a longtime customer, take it by mistake or cue sinister music on purpose? Eventually, I left with my bag of sushi. Back home, I found my husband on the couch. Sushi, I announced. He looked at me. Sushi? Yeah, you won't believe what happened, I said as I unpacked my haul. Some tall blonde woman took our sushi and they had to make another order. Sorry it took so long. He stared at me. But I already picked up the sushi. What? He doesn't look anything like a tall blonde woman, by the way. You told me you ordered sushi and I saw how busy you were, so I drove over to get it. Didn't see that coming. After a phone call to reassure the restaurant that we paid for both orders, and yes, that certainly was a lot of sushi, but not to worry, no one walked off with any food. I sat down to eat alone since the man I'd married had already eaten. But as hungry as I'd been, I couldn't finish it all. I suggested he save the leftovers to snack on later. My husband shook his head. I don't think so. Why not? I demanded. It'll go bad, and that stuff is expensive. I had sushi for lunch.
I love that. Okay. Oh, goodness.
True story.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so coincidence, true story. Yeah. Wow. And those and the employees thought that a tall blonde woman picked it up. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We are actually waiting. Mike has just said that he will be coming in, and so I'm going to give him just a couple of minutes to come in, and while we're waiting for him, we can talk about the workshop. I hope everyone is writing, finding the draft thread to post your draft. Sometimes it's a little bit of a scavenger hunt or something to try to find, somebody called it a labyrinth the other day, to try to find the correct draft thread. Remember that the draft thread will always have the number of the current draft and the image at the top. That's what you're looking for in your small group, and to make sure that your draft gets in that thread, because that's where everyone is looking to find the week's draft thread. So if it ends up somewhere else, we're afraid that people won't see it and people won't respond to it, and you'll feel like no one's watching, but everyone's watching. This week's task was all about writing from experience. Monday's task will be writing from observation. And so I've been thinking about the concept of observation for a few weeks now, doing actually some research about observation and the types of observation we participate in, or there's a form called participant observation and non-participant observation. We'll be looking at the differences between those and how we arrive at stories through these different types of observation. But that's coming on Monday. Mike Chevnevsky, how are you? Are you here?
Mass hysteria here, man. AWP, Kansas City, cats and dogs living together.
Who's the cats and who's the dogs?
Say that again. I'm going to find a quiet spot.
Okay. Who's the cats and who's the dogs?
It's at my house, really. I have cats and dogs living together, but it's kind of like that. No, it's pretty great. This is a great AWP.
Excellent. What's great about it this year, Mike?
What's that?
What's great about it this year?
Kansas City's really nice. Everybody's really nice. It's a nice convention center. Everything's easy. A lot of restaurants and bars close. A lot of great off-site stuff. Met a lot of friends. It's kind of one of those central ones where like everybody kind of comes and meets in the middle. So there's a lot of people here for the first time since pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's a good AWP.
Okay. So have you had a lot of people coming to the Moon City table?
Yes, we've done really well. We had some great signings by our authors, and we just have pretty books, so people like coming. Plus, we got a big center location, and so it's been really awesome.
Okay.
It's hard to step away from the booth because you walk away for 5 minutes, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, 5 people were here to say hi, and they said they'll see you next year." So then you miss people.
Do you want to show us your table?
Yeah, I could do that. We're in the middle of the book fair now. You can see it's like an airport hangar.
Yeah.
Here's one of our authors, Andrew Butena, who may have something to do with Smoke Long Quarterly.
Hi, Andrew.
Smoke Long.
Hello.
Hey,
Here's our
everybody.
people selling books. It's awesome. It's great. You guys are just on a Zoom for a second. I was supposed to ask permission for that.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Yes, I just said hi to you, Andrew. I don't know who it was. Never mind.
yeah.
Leave them behind.
Who else is there? Who else is
I
there?
want to keep putting the phone up to my ear because then people just see my ear.
Yeah, that's nice. You have a nice ear, Mike. I've never
I took
told
out
you
my
that.
good earrings.
Yeah.
Back in 1993, I took them out, and then I haven't put them back in.
Uh-oh. That's a little long. That's a little long to wait.
Yeah. I think the holes might have closed up. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, you know what? Yeah, just a couple of beers and like, boom. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get little moons on one side. On the other side, I'll get a Smoke Long Quarterly symbol.
There you go. Not complicated. Not complicated at all. Okay. Well, Mike, thank you. How is Karen there this year?
Karen was kind of here, but not. She took our son to a college visit, and she hung out a little bit and dropped off some books, but she actually headed back to Springfield. We just live a couple hours away from here, so this is in our backyard. So, yeah, things got complicated, so she wasn't able to come.
No worries. Okay. Thank you, Mike, for zooming in and showing us a little bit about of the book fair and your table.
Behind me, this
yeah.
is a beautiful part where the highways converge of Kansas City.
That's beautiful.
You can find us from this, just looking at this.
Yeah.
Probably, or you could just put the address in Google. Either one.
Okay, that's beautiful. All right, thank you, Mike, and I'll be talking to you soon because we have interviews to do. All right.
Ciao.
Yeah. Ciao, Mike. Bye.
Bye.
Checking in with AWP. One person who's there at AWP, but zooming in from his hotel room, we'll talk to him about things that he's done at AWP. Imar Lehman Wines is a writer and stay-at-home dad living in Kansas. His work has previously appeared in the First Line, Hearth and Coffin, Waywords, and Tales anthology, as well as an upcoming piece in Consequence Forum. Hi, Matt. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, my voice is a little scratchy from all the talking at AWP, but yeah.
At the book
Great.
fair. Yeah. It's like when I talk 8 hours to people at the book fair, I can't talk in the evening. And then I'm expected to do karaoke until 3 o'clock in the morning. It's difficult.
Oh, I skipped the karaoke and I'm still struggling, so I don't know how you do it. I must need to do more vocal warm-ups in the morning.
At the book fair, I do a lot of this. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. No, I have to actually, I'm lying. At the book fair, I always have to explain what Smoke Long is, explain what Flash is, explain what Smoke Long Fitness is, so I do a lot of talking. Okay. So what have you done at AWP this year?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the book fair. It's been great to, you can go on Duotrope and browse all of the different lit mags, but something about walking among the tables, talking to each of them personally, you really get a much better feel for what they're looking for, what they're offering. You also get a lot of free stuff, a lot of free books. I've bought some books, but also been just gifted books. I think my luggage is probably about 20 pounds heavier.
Yeah, just for everybody, Saturday at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon is a great time to get free books. Because the publishers are like, oh, we have to take these books back. And so they are more likely to just hand you a free book at the last minute on Saturday. So keep that in mind.
Yep. But I've also been going to panel conversations. I was telling my breakout group, I went to a really good one yesterday on bisexuality and genre, exploring how for bisexuality to defy the kind of heteronormative binary and comparing that with cross-genre literature, and just a really great exploration. All of the panels have been fantastic, though.
I like that. Okay. What are you going to read for us today?
I'm going to read something that was published in Hearth and Coffin, Strawberries and Wool. The world is color, but we exist in black and white. Black wool on white wool, even in the summer heat. Papa's beard is black, streaked with hints of white, a gray hair for each year of his children's lives. He laughs when he says it. Each hair a treasured prize. Mama's bonnet is white on her brown hair, and she tells me that the world is watching. The colorful world is watching, and we must be separate. No dancing, no cars, no TV. Our buggies, our horses, the lanterns that fill our house with light, let the world know that we are different. The bishop's rules come down in rigid black and white, and they are everything. But the boy calls to me from the back pasture, climbing over fences from his home on the other side of the hill. He talks to me, laughs with me, and tells me of things that I do not dare to believe. He says he has been in the air, has flown like a bird above the fields and the forests of Ohio, across the oceans to worlds beyond my imagining. It is July, and I pull off my bonnet to fill it with the last strawberries from the patch behind our house. Grinning, lips already stained with juice, we sneak off into the cornfield. I walk carefully, leaving stalks unbent, leaves unbroken. He has no such compunctions. It is a bumper crop, the corn stretching high above us even so early in the season. Lying there, he tells me about the places his parents took him to, about France and Spain and Milwaukee and Cleveland. I know Cleveland is just an hour by car, but in a buggy, a day, 2 days even, another world. We lie there most of the afternoon, stretched out side by side on our furrows amidst the corn, the bonnet of berries lying in between us, our mouths and fingers stained with juice and sweetness and summer, and for the first time in my life, I consider that boys may have their merits. His fingers leave light red trails on my wrists and palms. That is where Papa finds us, following the trail of broken corn stalks and discarded strawberry stems. That is where the dream ends, where Papa pulls that poor English boy to his feet, and a stream of low German cursing sends him hurtling down the corn rows with a few swift kicks. He pulls me back to the house, already taking off his belt. That night, I lay on the straw mattress I share with my older sisters, careful not to roll onto my still smarting bottom. In the morning, I look at my bonnet, sitting on the top of my dress on a chair next to the bed. It is no longer white. Little red spots dot it, breaking the pure blank slate. Little dots of color seeping through.
Okay, thank you. Definitely a moment that we do not want to have in childhood. Great, excellent, very good. Thank you. What's your plan now today? Are you going back to the convention center? I didn't hear it.
Yep, got a few more, more panels I want to hit up, and like you said,
Yeah, I'm sorry. The connection.
A few more panels, and like you said, 4 p.m. 3 books. Oh.
No, you're fine. 4 p.m. exactly.
Yeah,
4 p.m.
few more panels.
All the books.
Yeah.
Are you driving?
4 p.m. 3 books. Yep. I am, yeah. So I will. I'll drive back home 3 hours to McPherson, Kansas this evening.
Okay, so you can take all the books.
Oh yeah. Yep. You bet.
See, I'm always flying and have a very, very limited number of pounds that I can take, and so it's just difficult. Okay, thank you so much for reading that. And we'll let you get back to the convention, to the conference. Our next reader is Sarp Solzdinler. Tell me how to say your last name, Sarp.
It's pronounced as Sözdinler. but it's a
Sostin.
Turkish. It's an
Yes.
impossibly Turkish surname. So please
Sostinler.
don't mind. You're doing great, Chris.
Sostinler.
Yes, you're quite there. Well,
All right.
I appreciate the effort.
Where are you from in Turkey?
I actually live in the Netherlands.
Yeah, but
I'm
Oh,
well,
okay,
in
so-
Turkey, I'm from this small coastal town called Izmir, a little southwest
know,
of Istanbul. Yeah.
yeah, I've been to Izmir.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so but you live in the Netherlands, right?
Oh, yes.
So
yeah.
Sarp Sosdinler has been published in Electric Lit, Kenyon Review, Masters Review, Diagram, Vestal Review, and elsewhere. His stories have been selected or nominated for the Pushcart Prize, Best of the Net, Best Small Fictions, Wigleaf Top 50, and awarded a finalist status at various literary contests, including the 2022 Los Angeles Review Flash Fiction Award. He's currently at work on his first novel in Philadelphia and Amsterdam. Welcome, Sarp.
Because, well, I guess I should admit that I find nothing more intimidating than hearing your bio read out loud by someone else. But thank you very much, Chris, once again. And hello, this is Sarp. I'm joining from this small town called Harlem, though not probably the Harlem that you all know from New York City, but a small town 15 minutes west of Amsterdam in the northwest Netherlands. So hence the dim lights in the background. And today I'll be reading something that was published in the American Literary Review last year. And it was published with the title of Baba, which means father in my native language, Turkish. But for today's reading, I would rather go with its original title, which was Synonyms and Antonyms. So here we go. The day before she died, my mother told me that I should plant an oak tree in her homeland to make up for the damage she caused all this time by breathing. We were occupying the opposite corners of her hospital room like a pair of edgy boxers on a ring and watching some beauty contest on mute. That night, she didn't look for once like the sum of her wrinkles under the jaundiced light fixture, that bleak air of old people. On my way back home, I received the news that her condition got bad of one town and worse of the next, my ears turning at once hot and cold with a deafening zing, the sound of my grieving silence blending with the sound of the nurse's practiced silence. I tasted my mother's smell in the first gulp of orange juice that morning, saw her bleeding from the crude edges of my colorful wounds. For days to come, I got drunk and peed under oak trees, and only fed on what she would make me eat as a kid. I dreamt of large plumes of smoke at night, or of something melting off the earth, merging back with the earth, only in a different shape and color. The day my son turned 9, we had a fight about synonyms and antonyms. He didn't understand how some words could have both, and some had neither. I kept to myself how much his grandmother's casket smelled like childbirth. I didn't tell him that my father, in his absence, had become like one of those words that could also mean their exact opposites. I didn't tell him why I could be a father to him, but not a husband to his mother. I don't know why, my son said years later when he called me on his last day of college, but I sometimes feel like the last man standing when I am around other people. The night I had left home, my mother told me that whenever I feel lonely or out of place, I should look for a sign from Baba, for it would be the eyes and ears of one true God. Under a calm and clear sky in the desert, she pointed up at a star and told me that it was my father. Although I liked the star for its abnormally bright stellar luster, I knew it was just a part of Orion's belt, yet another dead pulse hiding 200 light years away and radiating nothing but lies, like my mother. My son and I celebrated the New Year's together. We sat at the sports bar and ate burritos of wax paper and drank peppermint schnapps, my mother's favorite. Just before the countdown, he ordered a bottle of champagne and looked me in the eye to say that he could love another man in the same way men and women love each other. We stood in silence, glancing at everyone in the bar but each other, until the fireworks started popping. "Father," I then said, pointing out and up. In truth, I didn't know of any other constellations.
Thank you so much, Sark, for reading that one. We actually listed that story in our the Grand Micro competition. That it was on the list. So yeah, so I remember it, of course. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Our next reader, before we go to our next breakout room, is Alyssa Field. Alyssa, I'm not going to make you read last. Alyssa Field's work appears in Smoke On Quarterly, Monkey Bicycle, Ghost Parachute, HAD, Citron Review, Reckon Review, Hypertext, Conjunctions, and elsewhere, with current nominations for Pushcart, Best American Essays, Best Small Fictions. Almost all of those stories either started in or benefited from Smoke Long workshops. Lots of love for our community. Thank you, Alyssa. Alyssa lives in a historic house under an ancient mango tree with her boys. She is at work on finishing a novel and assembling a flash fiction collection, and I bet is really tired of mangoes.
I don't know if we'll get them this year because they trimmed the tree, and legend has it we'll have to wait another year.
Oh no!
So
Because
we'll see.
You do like mango.
I'll have to do bottled mango.
Okay.
So I'm going to read a story that I wrote a week ago tomorrow. It's a pretty new one. A few people here have already read it, and it's had just a couple of tweaks with feedback. But it's one that so far I like because it's off a personal obsession that's been with me about 20 years. So it's called What Tara Really Wants to Say About Kill Devil Hills. They'd been to Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, and months later, Tara would catch herself wanting to work it into conversation. Kill Devil Hills. Find herself brain drafting a post for her socials. Is there any cooler name for a place than Kill Devil Hills? What was it? 5 miles of Saharan-scale dunes along the Carolina seashore. The dunes from which the Wright brothers launched the first successful flight. So hot and vast, signs warned at the tourist parking, you have no way of expecting just how daunting and dangerous this walk will be. Yet they had walked out on that trail, hadn't they? Young married, their 2 toddlers in tow, posed and snapped the boys, hiking Kill Devil Hills. The sound of it. Wasn't a brag exactly. Not the way lovies on Facebook only posted when they had wealth to show, smiles to prove how good they were doing, only the best minutes of the best hours of the best days, the one day of the year their hair looked smooth. Okay, sure, it's a brag to share the moment she caught wild horses coming over the dune. OMG, can you even believe? Perfectly framed action shot, actually in focused. Could count the teeth on the stallion biting the other one's neck, glazed in 8 edges of apricot sunset. For fuck's sake, life should all be that kind of brag. The miracles. But she hadn't paid for the trip, a tag-along on her mother-in-law's annual week at the beach, which was in fact a tag-along on her mother-in-law's sister's annual month at the beach. Poor relation of the poor relation. Blatantly true, the invite only came because now she possessed the mother-in-law's grandsons who were yet of the cute age when they could be posed in madras and seaside colors with pails to shape sandcastles, be told when to bob about on inflatables at the same pace as grandmommy. Investment, a grandmommy remembered while she was still young, photos done for everyone's Christmas cards, ready for graduation collages a decade and more on, evidence it had all gone well. But what she wants to post, what no one in the family wants aired, is the sound of those words. Kill Devil Hills. Capture the shine on the teeth, not the soft worry of toddler cheeks gone too red in the sun, no one venturing off to snorkel down to sharks who slept at the bottom of the reef. No one yet to notice there was a reef. No one yet to notice sharks watched them there, adorable feeties bobbing and dangling at the top of the waves. But the pictures no one takes. The brother-in-law shagging a one-night stand in the condo stairwell, the brown tiki god shot glasses from too many shots at Mama Kwan's, the sand and sweat while fucking aggravation of all the years to come, things that'll be thrown, nights that won't be slept, vows that will be broken. That's the miracle, though, isn't it? The money shot, the killer, the devil, teeth bared but apricot glazed, love that gets us through.
Oh yeah, I never muted myself. Wonderful. I love the sense of place. And yes, perfect. I would love to hike there, of course. Yeah. Caroline Buck writes novels, short stories, and flash, and she takes lots of notes. A while ago, one of her flash fiction stories was published in Smokelong, Government Bunnies. It's a great story. She is also the co-president and prose editor at Washington Writers Publishing House, based in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Caroline.
Hi, thank you.
Good to see
Thank you. And
thank you for your contribution to Smokelong, Government Bunnies. It's such an interesting story. Yeah, okay.
well, that was a while ago, but I love that story. I'm right now working on a series of 14 line micros, and I just started them a few weeks ago. And they don't have titles, but they're under an umbrella name. The name is I Should Have Slept with Them All. So here's one that I'm thinking is the beginning of the collection, but we'll see. So I should have slept with them all. Once, long ago, I was accused of being unladylike by my Nana. Her exact words, a little whore. I, who rarely curse even now, was called a whore. I was 9 or 10, and I knew what it meant. I was a child who read everything, and how she hated that I read more than her. She read nothing. She mocked my pile of library books. Only later did I learn she was taken from school at 9 or 10 and sent to work in the shirtwaist factory. She was likely functionally illiterate. She had me read school forms out loud to her. I knew what she was accusing me of beyond the words, of wanting love. She despised me because I was in front of her with my tangled hair and her daughter wasn't. Nana took a fine-tooth comb to that hair and tore through it. That's not my life anymore, though it lives in my body. Stroke my hair now. No knots. I should have fucked them all and shown her. Drowning in despair, she wanted me drowned too, like a kitten in a sack. I wouldn't drown, and if I despaired, I wouldn't in front of her. So many confessional writers end with remorse or worse, drugs or drink, Plath with her head in the oven. Berryman, he wrote dream songs and later jumped off a bridge in the dead of winter in Minneapolis. I'm dreaming now. I'm alone, but I say it anyway. Stroke my hair. I won't end in despair. Not this little whore.
Oh, wow. Great. Thank you, Caroline. And this is part of a series. Okay. Yeah.
I shared some in our wonderful group that we have in Cardio. So
Yeah.
I shared another in the series.
Okay. And this is perfect. Yeah. That level of emotion, that's what we're all going for, in my opinion. That's great. Thank you so much for reading that. Travis Flatt is from my home state. He's a teacher and actor living in Cookeville, Tennessee. I've also lived in Cookeville. His stories appear or are forthcoming in bending genres, Flash Frog, JMWW, Had, and elsewhere. He enjoys theater, dogs, and theatrical dogs. Tell us more about theatrical dogs, Travis.
I just thought it sounded funny, but
okay.
but my wife does have me watch the Instagram, TikTok videos all the time of the dogs doing silly things and like auto-tune voices and stuff.
Cool.
That's kind of gave me the idea, I guess.
What are you going to read for us today?
Okay. I'm going to read something I put in Had last year, and it's just something. Despite how this sounds, this is actually based on something that really happened. And it's called Scoosh. Okay. On Monday morning, 4 a.m., I broke down and made an account on pleasesomeone.com against the advice of Mima, who insisted I find a sturdy girl at Mass. Mima thinks I go to her church. Her church burned down in 2006. Mima puts salt in her coffee sometimes in hopes we don't notice. Dad is building Mima a tiny house in his backyard. Dad told me not to bother finding a second wife, that sex is overrated and I'd get used to jerking off. Mima laughed until hot, salty coffee came out her nose and said masturbation was a deadly sin. I'm in hell here, Leah. Take me back. I don't want to date. Whatever I did, I don't deserve this. On pleasesomeone.com, you fill out a 26-page profile. It asks you to choose 15 favorite hobbies from a list of 17. 2 of them are kayaking. None of them are smoking weed in the kitchen while Dad takes Mima to the park for a game of fetch. The kitchen is good for smoking weed because you can burn toast to mask the odor of weed and shame. Shame smells like drinking natural light until falling asleep and pissing the mattress and exchanging the mattress with Mimas. The pleasesomeone.com algorithm matched me with Katie. I take an Uber to Nashville, 30 miles away, to meet her in a restaurant I can't afford called Cork and Cow. Don't tell her about the brain surgery, I keep telling myself. I really want to tell her about the brain surgery. It's my best story. High power suction. Usually when I get to that part, I make the sound of that doodad the hygienist uses to suck the spit out of your mouth during the cleaning, and people laugh. Katie's prettier than I expect her to be. She's got kids. All the women on pleasesomeone.com have kids because men don't want to date women with children. Ask them. I like kids. I used to teach them useless shit like how to make puppets and who Moliere was until Vice Principal Maddox discovered me drinking a sixer in the wood shop during my plan time. Katie's short, I'm tall. That's the algorithm, maybe. Other than slightly crooked teeth, she's stunning, and stunning in a haggard way. Pleasesomeone.com does not do profile pics. My anxiety rockets. With no backup plan, I simply must tell her about the brain surgery. I launch into it immediately after ordering a Diet Dr. Pepper. I don't drink, I lie, because of the seizures. She knows I'm epileptic because of my profile info. All our medical information's on there. Her endometriosis. She finds my brain surgery story a riot. I follow up with the one about fighting the EMTs at O'Charlie's. That one lost me my driver's license. That's the short version. I tell the long version. She agrees to pay for the meal. I apologize. Then she offers to drive me all the way back to Lebanon from Nashville, but I chivalrously decline, realize halfway back that I screwed my opportunity to screw. But if she gives me 5 stars, I'll roll the dice on a date with straight teeth, because that's my kink. My Uber home smells like wet dog and raspberry vape. My driver, Grace, has Funko Pops of the Big Bang Theory characters on her dash. She doesn't realize my brain surgery story is supposed to be funny. After several minutes of silence, I tell it again. Grace finally offers that she had a crown popped in recently. I say. She agrees.
Okay. This is priceless, Travis. Wonderful. And it's published at HAD.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody go read it for yourself. But really, no, listen to this recording again so that you can hear Travis read it. Perfect. Of course, I think I speak for everyone. We loved that. It's perfect. Yeah, and is it okay if we find the brain surgery story funny?
Yes, and it's actually based on the fact that I did have surgery, and do not go on a date and tell someone that you had brain surgery.
Right.
No,
Right. That's like
bad
second
idea.
date. That's second date story. Second date story.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
exactly. That's what I would say. Okay. Our next and final reader is the sensational Shira musicant, lives and writes in the Santa Barbara foothills. In her former life, she was a somatic psychotherapist. She is a 2022 Pushcart Prize nominee whose stories appear or are forthcoming in Santa Barbara Literary Journal, Star 82 Review, Bright Flash Literary Review, 100 words, 101 words, fourth genre, and elsewhere. Hi, Shira.
Hi, Christopher. Thank you. I don't know if I can really follow Travis, but I'm going to try. So,
yeah, it will be wonderful. What are you going to read for us today?
I'm going to read something that I worked on in January with my January endurance group.
Okay.
Opportunistic feeders. In lieu of speaking, Mother has begun hoarding bits of paper in her mouth, nibbling on words, holding them back, something she never did before. Open up, Mom. She shakes her head and pinches her mouth tight. Her cheeks bulge, the wrinkles on them disappearing. I force it and probe her mouth with my finger, sweeping out the little spittle balls. She swallows and bites me. I hide the mail, but she starts in on the books. So many books in Father's old library, and she doesn't seem to care whether she's eating history or philosophy. I've moved back into my childhood home to care for her. She no longer oversees meals, governing the kitchen while my brothers and I roam the field that borders our house. Those days are over. That home is gone. Father cannot see her foraging in his books now. He did not believe in afterlife, so I assume he has none. I buy her the peaches and nectarines she used to love so much, but she locks her lips together. I show her photos of Thanksgiving feasts she used to prepare, but she closes her eyes. I cannot weave happiness for her out of the threads of our lives. She goes down readily for a nap and gives me her squirrel smile, spitting out a few little wads, but I see telltale white lumps behind her yellowed molars. What will paper do to her intestines? What would I do if she were to choke? Thoughts, really, not questions. I latch the door to the house from the outside, locking her in because she wanders. With my binoculars and hiking shoes, I walk down the path to the open field. The grasses have popped up and the oaks have new leaves. The field is studded with lichen-covered boulders deposited by an ancient debris flow. Farther down, the Pacific Ocean nudges the coast, and above, jagged mountains loom. Crows gather in the sky and swoop in screaming concert, protecting their nests from the red-tailed hawks. I sit on a boulder and watch the sky. A great blue heron glides in and lands on a grassy patch. For as long as I can remember, herons have flown into the field from the marshes in the late afternoon. They come to hunt. I sit very still watching Great Blue. He is motionless, then lifts one leg and pauses, waits. Great Blue suddenly darts his head down and comes up with a gopher dangling from his mouth. He flips it into his beak and swallows. I watch the bulge slowly descend the bird's long, slender neck, taking its time going down the throat. I wonder if it will choke the heron. All these years, I thought the herons were after lizards. I didn't know they ate gophers, but then birds are not fussy eaters. Mother woke while I was outside. She has begun nibbling the calendar pages from the wall, tearing off little bits and chewing up her final days. When she dies, I will sell this house. Someone else will call it home and start a life here. Someone else will wander the field. Everything I've researched about being swallowed whole and alive agrees that shock and some kind of dissociation will accompany the experience of death. There is disagreement, however, on how long death will take and whether the digestive juices will burn before suffocation. Mother sits at the table while I heat vegetable soup for dinner. She does not like my cooking and eats very little. I cannot nourish her final days with either meals or meaning. I put spoons out and serve up the soup. I do what I can. I place a paper napkin next to Mother's bowl. She gives me a sly look. It is not yet dark, but already the owls have begun calling to each other.
Amazing. Such good readings today. Thank you so much, Shira. That paper napkin is just the crown there at the end. It works so well, the sly look. Oh my gosh. Okay, so everyone today, wow, what wonderful readings we've had today. All so different, all so moving, and really wonderful in their own ways. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm saying that from my heart. It's hard to stay so emotionally. So hello, everybody. Thank you for coming in. But when I'm so excited about the reading, we are at the end of the time exactly. The German Pünktlichkeit, the Deutsche Pünktlichkeit has won today. Video guy will be so impressed by this. So I will see, first of all, thank you everyone who read, and I will see everyone in the workshop. And you have just a couple more days, like today and tomorrow, to get everything done in the first week. You don't really have to have everything done because that thread will be open and you can still comment on it. But your next thread for writing task 2 in February will go live on Monday, and you'll have a new draft thread to work on. And so I'm just really thrilled with the readings today, and I'll see you in the workshop, everybody. Bye-bye.